My fiancée said, "Your career is just a phase. Quit after the wedding." I said, "Gladly, I quit the relationship." She found my goodbye letter the morning of the ceremony and panicked. I didn't plan on disappearing. I just stopped moving toward the future I never really wanted. My name's Simon. I'm 32 years old, and I lived, I guess, in Charleston, South Carolina. At the moment, I'm holed up in a forgettable business-class hotel room on the far side of the Cooper River, across from what was supposed to be my wedding venue. I haven't slept. I'm still wearing jeans and a t-shirt from yesterday, sitting on the scratchy sofa under a buzz of fluorescent lighting that makes everything look worse. The tuxedo is hanging, untouched, in a garment bag hooked to the closet door. Custom fit, dark navy with a silk trim. It looks expensive, even from here. Probably because it was. Probably because Elena insisted. The tea I'm drinking tastes like plastic. Instant stuff from a foil pouch I found near the coffee machine. Still, I sip it slow. The bitter heat helps dull the edge of what I just did. Not erase it. Just blur it around the corners. I don't feel regret. At least not in the way I thought I might. I feel clarity. Like I finally walked off the set of a play I never auditioned for. Somewhere across the river, Elena is probably screaming. Or crying. Or both. Knowing her, it'll be the crying first, then the fury. Her mother will try to take control. Her father will demand to know how I could humiliate their daughter in front of 300 guests. I imagine them scrambling, whispering to each other in their perfect designer clothes, trying to explain my absence with phrases like nerves or a medical emergency. But they'll know the truth before the cake's even cut. I left. I walked away. It was sometime around 4 this morning. I took a rideshare, didn't even pack a real bag. Just grabbed my laptop, a backpack, a couple prototypes from my work desk, things that matter to me. And I left Elena sleeping soundly in the bed we'd been sharing for the last year. Not fiancé and fiancée. Just two people pretending the same lie. The pressure started building months ago. Her visions for the wedding. Her plans for our future. Her polite but firm request that I start reorienting my time away from work and towards something more stable. Like accounting. Or software management. Something with a track record, she said. Something that didn't sound like a 12-year-old's dream. "They're just cars, Simon," she told me once, over dinner. "You don't even sell them. You just draw them and hope someone in Germany thinks it's cute." I remember nodding. I remember smiling politely. But I also remember how I felt that night when I went back to my studio and traced over the concept sketch I'd been working on for weeks. How I kept my hand steady, even though I felt like screaming. How the sketch turned out better than the last. Cleaner. More defiant. I suppose that was the beginning of this moment. The quiet. The shitty tea. The tuxedo I'll never wear. I didn't want to be someone else's project. I didn't want to trade sketches for spreadsheets, or the pulse of inspiration for some neat little calendar of grown-up milestones. I wanted my life back. And now I have it. At a cost, sure. But one I'm willing to pay. Because in this silence, in this ugly little hotel room, I feel more like myself than I've felt in years. It was a Thursday night, late fall. The kind of Charleston evening where the air finally loses its humidity and pretends to be crisp. We were having dinner on the back patio. Elena had insisted. Candlelight, soft jazz humming from her phone. The whole curated vibe she liked to create when she wanted to talk about something serious. She poured wine like it was part of a performance. Swirled hers. Sipped delicately. "I talked to Lauren today," she said, like I was supposed to know where that was going. I didn't respond, just cut into the roasted chicken I had barely touched. She said Brian just made junior partner. They're looking at houses in Mount Pleasant. Something near the golf course. I nodded. I'd met Brian. He was the kind of guy who made conversation by listing interest rates and pretending he had once played college baseball. And Amanda's husband just left his firm for one that gives him every other Friday off. Isn't that incredible? She sipped again, studying my face over the rim of her glass. I waited. There was more coming. There always was. I just think, maybe it's time you started thinking about what comes next. Something more grown up. Something real. There's nothing more real to me than what I do. I said quietly, not looking up. Elena set her glass down with a soft clink. "Simon, you design concept cars. You make sketches and clay models that never go anywhere. It's not sustainable. It's not meant to be sustainable," I replied. "It's meant to push the boundaries. That's the point." She gave me a tight smile. Or maybe it's just time to grow up. There it was. I sat back, folding my napkin slowly. My mind drifted to the other times she'd said something like that. Not directly. Never that blunt. But always there, just beneath the surface. Like when she convinced me to sell my off-roader, said it was impractical, childish. I'd spent 3 years restoring that thing. Or when she raised her eyebrows at my sparring gear and said, "You really think you'll be doing that when you're 40? Or when she gently suggested I stop going to the track on weekends because it was dangerous and not something married men do. I saw it now. All of it. She didn't want a partner. She wanted a transformation. A man she could show off at fundraisers. Someone who wore the right shoes and shook hands with the right people and didn't smell like rubber and drafting ink. I designed vehicles for the future, Elena, I said, finally looking her in the eye. I get to imagine what doesn't exist yet and make it real. That's not childish. That's purpose. She tilted her head, that pitying smile again. It's a hobby, Simon. A nice one. But it's time to start thinking long-term. For your own good. The words hit harder than I expected. For your own good. Like a parent scolding a child. Like she was fixing something broken. I stood up from the table, plate untouched, wine untouched. You don't love me, I said softly. You love a project. You love the idea of what I could be if I just did everything your way. She blinked. Don't be dramatic. But I wasn't. For the first time in a long while, I felt completely calm. That was the moment something settled in me. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Just a decision. And once I made it, I never looked back. It started like a stealth operation. Precise. Quiet. Intentional. Elena was off for the weekend, at some spa retreat with her bridal party in Asheville. I had 4 days to vanish. Not disappear in a blaze, but to remove myself from the life I was never meant to finish building. Liam showed up that Friday morning in a rented moving van, just like we planned. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. You sure? He asked, leaning against the truck with a mug of gas station coffee and that look of concern he didn't bother to hide. Yeah, I said. This time, I'm sure. The condo was half-packed already. Only the things I cared about. My workstation. The hand-built drafting table my grandfather left me. My design models, some finished, some half-sculpted in clay. A bookshelf's worth of design Bibles, engineering tomes, sketchbooks. And the vintage watch he passed down to me, an antique Omega chronograph from the 60s. That came first. No furniture. No wedding registry junk. No crystal vases or unused fondue sets. Just what I came into this relationship with and what still felt like mine. We worked in silence, mostly. Every once in a while, Liam would glance at something, a sketch of the open-cabin electric speedster I'd been working on for 3 years, and nod, like he got it now in a way he never had before. By mid-afternoon, we were loading the final boxes when my phone buzzed. Elena. I stared at the screen like it might explode. She was calling. Don't answer, Liam said, straightening a ratchet strap. I answered. Hey, I said, careful to keep my tone flat. Hey, babe. Her voice was warm, fuzzy from mineral water and spa cucumbers. So I was thinking, for the honeymoon, what if we extended the Italy trip by a few days? You could use the break. You've been working like crazy. I glanced around at the empty condo. Yeah, it's been busy, I said. Actually, I had to schedule some fumigation here. Chemical stuff. Could be a roach issue. What? She said, instantly annoyed. No? That's disgusting. Are you serious? I nodded to myself. Yeah, Inspector insisted. I'll be at Liam's for the weekend. Just to be safe. A pause. Okay. Well, let me know when it's clear. Don't touch my skincare fridge. I promised I wouldn't. Then I hung up and powered the phone down. That night, after the van was emptied into a storage unit outside Charlotte, I drove to my new place. A minimalist loft near a quiet part of town. 2 rooms, tall windows, no HOA. It smelled like fresh paint and sawdust. Like potential. The bed was a mattress on the floor. The kitchen had 1 mug, 1 plate, and a scratched-up coffee maker Liam had left from his college days. I didn't care. Because on the wall above my new desk, I'd already pinned the first sheet of vellum. A new concept. Something sleek. Mine. I sat down with a notepad, the bare light bulb swinging overhead, and started sketching. Then I wrote the letter. I kept it short. No drama. No accusations. Just the truth. Elena, you didn't break me. You tried to remake me. And I let you for a while. But I've decided to quit this life we planned. Not because I'm a coward. Because I'd rather be a man alone, with a full heart and an honest pen, than a man in a tailored suit, smiling for photos in a world I don't believe in. I'm not quitting my work. I'm quitting you. Simon. I folded it, sealed it, left it in the center of our now empty dining table. I imagined her walking in to find it, confused, angry, scrambling for answers. Let her scramble. I had my life back. And this time, I was designing it from scratch. I waited 24 hours before turning my phone back on. The second it lit up, the screen exploded with alerts, missed calls, voicemails, text after text. Elena. Her mother. Her sister. Uncles, bridesmaids, some people I didn't even know had my number. The tone varied. At first, it was confusion. Where are you? Are you okay? Please just say something. Then panic. Simon, this is humiliating. You can't just vanish. We can fix this. Then rage. You selfish coward. After everything she did for you? You're disgusting. But none of it touched me. Not really. Not anymore. The final voicemail came from Elena's father. It started calm, eerily polite. Simon, it's Richard. I suppose congratulations are in order. You certainly made a statement. Of course, that statement came at a considerable cost. A pause. You'll be hearing from us soon regarding reimbursement. Catering. The venue. Flowers. Elena's reputation. Another pause. Colder now. Also, a little bird tells me a certain antique watch is missing from the condo. I trust you didn't mean to take something that wasn't yours. I stared at the phone like it had grown teeth. That watch was mine. My grandfather gave it to me the year I graduated from design school. I had the handwritten note to prove it, but now they were threatening it. Like it was just another bargaining chip in their attempt to rattle me. I tossed the phone onto the couch and stood there, pulse pounding. For a moment, I let the anger in. Just for a moment. Then I sat down and called Liam. They're trying to bait you, he said. Classic smear and scare tactic. Don't let it get under your skin. They might have already taken it, I said. That's what gets me. They think they can just rewrite what belongs to who. Liam exhaled. Okay. First, breathe. Second, you've got documentation, right? For the watch? The design stuff? Yeah. Then you're fine. Let them huff and puff. You don't need to say a damn thing. He was right. I knew he was right. But the messages kept coming. That afternoon, Elena's sister posted a long caption on Instagram under a photo of Elena in her wedding dress, alone in the bridal suite. Sometimes people break. Not because they're bad, but because they're unstable. We tried to get him help. He didn't want it. The comments were worse. OMG, poor Elena. You deserve so much better. Dodged a bullet, babe. He looked like a narcissist anyway. He always gave off weird vibes. They painted me like some emotionally stunted dropout who snapped under the pressure of marriage. No mention of how she chipped away at me for years. No hint of what I'd sacrificed. Just a one-dimensional villain. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I closed the app. Permanently. Let them talk. Let them invent whatever version helped them sleep. I knew the truth. I wasn't broken. I was finally unbroken. Liam called again that night. You need to respond? No, I said. I need to focus. Then do that. Build. Draw. Move on. And I did. Bit by bit. Sketch by sketch. I reclaimed my time. Because the only thing louder than their lies was my silence. And I made damn sure they heard it. By Monday, I had a lawyer. Mr. Curran came recommended by Liam's cousin, a no-nonsense civil litigator with a reputation for keeping emotion out of the courtroom and results on paper. Exactly what I needed. We met in his office downtown. Clean lines, brushed steel, one wall of diplomas and another of legal books that actually looked like they'd been read. He listened quietly as I explained the situation, what I left behind, what I'd taken, what I'd paid for. When I got to the part about the watch, his eyes narrowed slightly, but he said nothing until I finished. Then he leaned forward. We'll draft a letter. Civil demand. Simple, polite. Itemized breakdown of expenses they've attempted to pin on you. I already know what they'll say, I muttered. They think I owe them for everything. They want reimbursement for catering, the venue deposit, hell, maybe even for the dress. He tapped his pen. Good. Let them say it. The more they try to claim, the more they reveal. We'll counter with specifics. Property return. The engagement ring, valued at $15,000. The chronograph watch, family heirloom, verified ownership. Legal costs. Emotional damages, if we escalate. Elena still has the ring, I said. Never gave it back. He nodded. Then she can give it to a judge. The letter went out 2 days later. Certified. Neatly formatted. No drama, just business. By then, the messages from her family had slowed to a trickle. Just enough to show they hadn't given up, but no formal response. They were betting I'd fold. That this was some post-breakup tantrum I'd eventually apologize for. They didn't know me at all. Weeks passed. No reply. No settlement offer. Not even a phone call. Until one afternoon, a package showed up. It was small. Plain cardboard. No return address. Just my name written in rushed, angry letters. Inside was the puzzle box I'd hand-carved for the ring the night I proposed. Mahogany, smooth edges, a subtle sliding mechanism that revealed the velvet compartment inside. I had spent 3 days getting the dimensions perfect. Now it was smashed. The pieces were shoved into the box like trash. The compartment lid was broken off entirely. No ring. No note. Just destruction. I sat there on the kitchen stool for a long time, staring at the ruins of something that once held meaning. Liam came by later that evening. When I showed him the box, he whistled low. They're poking the bear. I shook my head. They think I'm still playing by emotional rules. That I'll give up because it hurts. You won't, he said. No, I said. I won't. The next morning, I met with Mr. Curran again. He examined the box like it was evidence, and in a way, it was. Physical proof of intent, of hostility, of entitlement. This helps us, he said calmly. They think they've closed the door. Really, they just kicked it wide open. What's next? I asked. He smiled, barely. Pre-trial settlement hearing. I'm requesting one now. They'll want to avoid court, but they'll get sloppy trying. And if they don't show, they will, he said. They can't resist one more chance to control the narrative. He closed the file gently. Let's give them the spotlight. See what they do with it. And just like that, I felt the balance shift. This wasn't a mess anymore. It was a strategy. They came after me with manipulation. Now I was coming back, with law. The settlement hearing was held in a plain, windowless room inside a mid-tier law office downtown. Neutral ground, as agreed. Nothing fancy, just a long table, for chairs, and a pitcher of stale water no one touched. I arrived early. Mr. Curran, in his usual calm, pressed suit, reviewed his notes without looking like he needed to. I sat beside him, quiet, steady. I hadn't heard Elena's voice in nearly a month, and I didn't expect it today either. It wasn't her style to do her own dirty work. She'd send someone. And she did. Her lawyer walked in first. Young, polished, probably more used to negotiating prenups for socialites than handling fallout like this. Then came Dominic, her older brother. He had that stiff jaw and department store sport coat look, the kind of guy who thinks he's intimidating because he stands with his arms crossed. Mr. Curran nodded at them. Mr. Nichols, Mr. DeVore. They sat. Dominic didn't look at me. I didn't look at him. Nichols opened with something meaningless. We're hoping to resolve this amicably. Everyone's been through a lot. Curran didn't blink. We agree. Return of property and reimbursement of expenses will do just that. Nichols cleared his throat. Our position is that the wedding costs were shared expectations. As for the ring, Ms. DeVore considers it a gift. Curran slid the list of itemized demands across the table. Gifts can be rescinded when a contract, like a marriage, is not fulfilled. South Carolina law is clear on that. Dominic shifted in his seat. Nichols kept his tone breezy. She doesn't have the ring anymore. Curran didn't look up. We know. That's why we're also requesting a formal statement regarding its disposal, as well as the whereabouts of the antique Omega chronograph. Dominic finally looked at me. That watch it went missing. Movers probably lost it. Mr. Curran finally smiled. Are you prepared to sign a sworn affidavit to that effect? Dominic blinked. Well, no. I mean, we just don't know what happened to it. That's not what you just said, Curran replied gently. You said movers lost it. Nichols tried to cut in, but Curran leaned forward, voice cool. Perjury is not something we take lightly, gentlemen, especially when it involves stolen or destroyed property with documented ownership. Dominic looked cornered. His mouth opened, closed. Then he snapped, fine. She broke it, all right. Nichols stiffened. Dumb. She smashed the damn thing. Dominic shouted. The night she got your letter. Took that little box thing and threw it against the wall. The watch flew out. She was screaming about being humiliated. He turned to Nichols like he expected backup. Nichols looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Mr. Curran nodded once. Thank you for your honesty. That will simplify our filing. Dominic's face drained of color. Wait, you're not recording this, right? Curran didn't answer. I stared at the table, holding back the anger and relief fighting in my chest. They had lied. They had broken something irreplaceable. And now we had it on record. Nichols cleared his throat again, visibly flustered. Given this new context, perhaps we can reconvene with our client and revisit the offer. You do that, Curran said, already gathering his papers. We'll wait 48 hours before proceeding with formal charges. We stood. I didn't look at Dominic. I didn't need to. Outside, the sun hit my face like a slap after so much gray. Liam texted 2 words when I told him what happened. Checkmate, man. And for the first time since I walked away from that tuxedo, I let myself smile. 2 days after the hearing, Elena's lawyer emailed a revised proposal. No negotiation this time. No sugar-coated phrasing. Just quiet submission. They agreed to everything. Full reimbursement for the wedding expenses they tried to hang around my neck. Legal fees, down to the last invoice. Return of the engagement ring located suddenly after weeks of evasive nonsense. And a signed statement admitting the chronograph had been destroyed during what they called a moment of emotional distress. Mr. Curran called me later that evening. It's over, if you want it to be. Or we can press forward. I wouldn't blame you. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see it. No, let's close it. I'm done wasting fuel on this. You did well, he said, his voice even but kind. You kept your dignity. That's rare in this kind of fallout. I thanked him. Then I ended the call and just sat in the quiet. A week later, a courier delivered the ring in a padded envelope, along with the final signed settlement. I held it in my palm for a moment, 15 grand's worth of diamonds and cold history. It didn't sparkle. It didn't hum with memory. It was just an object now. I sold it the next day. The jeweler didn't ask questions. He wired the funds by afternoon. That money, plus what I received from the settlement, was enough to do something I hadn't allowed myself to consider before. I bought a new place. A modern apartment with big windows and clean lines, nestled on the edge of a quiet arboretum in Charlotte. Nothing flashy. No curated elegance. Just light, quiet, and enough room to breathe. The second bedroom became my new studio. The first day I moved in, I set up the drafting table, laid out my sketchbooks, and pinned up some of the prototypes Liam and I had rescued from the condo. It smelled like fresh lumber and morning sun. No perfume. No fake citrus cleaner. Just real air. I unpacked my grandfather's watch, cracked crystal and all, and set it gently on a shelf above my desk. I couldn't fix it, but I kept it. A scar, maybe, but still mine. That evening, as I was reviewing a client brief, my phone buzzed. It was a text. From Elena. You really are heartless. I hope destroying our future was worth your little tantrum. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it, blocked the number, and exhaled. The quiet in the apartment wrapped around me like a warm coat. No tension, no performance, just me, free. Later that night, I stood barefoot on the balcony, watching the trees sway in the wind. A train passed in the distance, low and steady. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean, like I had walked through something toxic and finally stepped out the other side. I had been willing to lose everything, and somehow I had gained myself back instead.